all have your seating. I think we're gonna get the show on the road. Yes, we have a hot mic here. We have some hot, beautiful Dallas folks here. So excited. This is our second Dallas Bike Story Night event, and I'm so honored to be here again with you all. Thank you for coming, and thank you for helping us get the word out and make this event possible and extra amazing. We have some awesome storytellers lined up. We have 6 storytellers taking us on a variety of adventures. We're hopping on a train. We're going through a field of bluebonnets. We're going to Mid-South Gravel and beyond. We're going to show you multiple ways you can use an e-bike. If you're e-bike curious, you'll get to learn more about that. A lot of the stories that happen to come up to Bike Story Night are stories of perseverance, which is amazing that we have this tool that will help us overcome things, get through things, you know, and all we have to do is just start writing and things get better. Fingers crossed, generally, 99.9% of the time. And we have stories, you know, people always ask, what kind of stories do we want, you know, or do you want to tell? I don't know, I don't have a story. And if you have a bike, if you had a bike, you probably have a bike story, believe it or not. I always encourage people to share stories that are going to uplift, you know, people and encourage them to ride. Maybe they haven't been riding in a long time and they can just relive the magic of biking. Encourage people to go out and explore, you know, other cities on bike, explore, you know, other countries on bike, and just really get out there. Who is that? That is me on my young purple bike. Quick story about that. It didn't fit me, and as a lot of you probably know, there's nothing like a bike that properly fits you. So I didn't really get to ride that bike because I was just always falling. And so, you know, I tried a couple of times, but I chose, you know, no violence. And I didn't ride it, and so I think eventually my parents just gave it away or something like that. So I didn't get to ride until I was older. And as I was telling you know, my bike life really truly started back in 2007. And then I moved to Austin where, you know, biking life was just flourishing. There was group rides almost every night, or a week or so. Now I could say there's definitely rides every night. And then in 2016, Jordan, my partner in crime, and I started a very chill ride because it really wasn't beginner-friendly, intermediate, you know, welcoming, just like come as you are kind of rides. There was definitely more so like fast-paced, you know, a lot of that kind of stuff, or, you know, like big party rides, which are really amazing, but for people who are just getting started, it can be a little bit intimidating, and we wanted to make sure that people had that opportunity and option. And so it started really small, you know, regular 2 riders a week, and we did it every Sunday, and slowly but surely kind of gained traction. So if you've ever thought about starting anything or a ride, you know, you just have to like stick with it. There was so many times where I thought, forget it, no one's showing up. But then, cut to almost this October, we'll be celebrating 10 years of Bike Story, or Sunday Cruise. We did 8 years every Sunday, and then last summer, it was last summer, we switched to second Sundays because we needed a break, and I had forgotten what Sundays were, weekends. So if you're ever in Austin, please come visit us. I don't think this is not a photo of Sunday Cruise. This is me leading a women's ride. I also started a women's ride, and then shortly after starting a women's ride, it was like around January, and I was encouraging people to share, you know, a bike goal for the new year or something. And at that time, the pandemic was going on. We were a small, you know, 5-10 group, you know, social distancing. But my bike goal was to create Bike Story Night. I had sat for a long time during the beginning of the pandemic, and I had just put lots of pieces together, and I've been an event organizer for years, and not only an event organizer, but a bike group organizer for years, and so it felt really nice and write to finally kind of do my own special side project. So that's how Bike Story Night sort of came to, in short. So we're celebrating, this is our 25th event in 5 years. Thank you. And I cannot tell you like how much I've had such great support and how I wouldn't have gotten started if somebody didn't give me validation. You know, I told them my goal, my idea, and they said, that sounds really amazing, you should go for it. And then I asked a bike shop if they would let me host my first event, and they said yes. And then people asked me when the next one was, and I hadn't really even had, you know, big plans or goals for it, but it felt so right, and I felt like I really tapped into a lot of things that I had forgotten about myself. And I think one of the important things about Bike Story Night that I want people to enjoy is that it's like a very intentional moment. You know, we're here, we're hopefully not on our phones, and we took time to come out and just be with each other in our community and really celebrate and relive the magic that is the bicycle. And your story, you know, can be anything. So anything related to a bike. So if you're thinking about sharing a story, I hope that you will share one next time. We might be in Fort Worth soon, fingers crossed. That is my next goal, as well as someday biking in San Diego, but even sooner, I think, coming to Fort Worth with Bike Story Night. And then again in Dallas, you know. And it's lovely to be here at Four Corners Brewing. They've been so supportive as well. And so that, you know, having that like welcoming, you know, vibe and community and everyone who's helped share and like our things and, you know, give me feedback and all that, it's really, really helpful. But that's kind of about my gist of things. I'm really, really excited for tonight. I hope that you all are ready. We're going to kick things off with a short bike film, and then we'll get the featured storytellers going, starting with Heather right after our first bike film, short community plug, bike org highlight. So without further ado, let's give it up for Silvana, who's repping the bike gangs.
Okay, I never do this part right. Am I good? Yeah? Okay. So, hi, I'm double dipping tonight. I'm Silvana from DC Bits. Some of you guys know me from years and years ago. I was run over by a car and incurred a brain injury and started a little bike business. I had been on a bike since I was 5 years old. After the brain injury, I decided that I needed something more in my life. I was a teacher and I wanted to help other people do the bike life and enjoy life on a bicycle, because that's the best kind of way, right? I've met amazing people along the way. The McNairs are here with Bike DFW, Valerie, of course, and many other groups that I help and support, and teams and so forth, and hangover riders, and anybody I can. And so drop me a line, follow up, and let's see what we can do together to keep life on a bike a beautiful thing. Tonight I am representing the Bike Gangs of Fort Worth, which was started by Daniel Guido from Fort Worth, who is not able to be here tonight. He's on a plane on his way back from Minnesota. He timed it just right, I think, so he made me stand here. We're going to show a short video of what they do. Basically, he's always loved riding bikes. In college, he would go out at night and ride his bike and meet people and hang out with homeless people and see what he can do. Daniel is a bit of an angel. He has pretty much helped or done something for everybody he's ever met in his life, including myself. He has been there for me for the last, I don't want to say, 6 years, whatever. COVID kind of took time frame away from me, but it was pre-COVID, and I've helped them wrench, hang out, do things. They help organizations they work with, and I'm sorry I have to look on my phone for this one because I don't always do well with names. But of course they work with Bike DFW and planning bigger things in the Dallas area. They Friendly South Dallas, Bike-Friendly South Dallas, Oak Cliff, the Moreland YMCA, and a nonprofit called Behind Every Door, along with several others. I have been with Guido when he's been helping out college students doing their final projects, and they decide to help their community by renting on bikes and giving them away to kids. And that's what their goal is, basically giving bikes away, repairing bikes for free. They have a bike in a box, which is a container in Fort Worth, and you pretty much show up and they fix your bike for free and off you go. They show up at all kinds of events. They supported my brain injury rides and a bunch of other rides. And he's a fun human being, he's a cool human being. I want to say, you know, I met this cool dude and he did this really cool thing. And it's called the Bike Gangs of Fort Worth, where they would just get out, ride bikes, and enjoy life, because that's what you're supposed to do on a bike, right? And life is better on a bike, and we hope to always keep it that way. We have a short video kind of showing what they do. They accept donations of bicycles, you guys, so you got all scrappy parts, all scrappy bikes, or new ones, or whatever, or wrenching, and I am wholeheartedly looking for women mechanics. Really hard to get you guys to sign up to do volunteer work. So if you know someone who's a woman who likes to wrench on bikes, please get hold of me, Sylvana at BC Bits. You can find me on social media. And with that, I leave you to what's up here. Thank you all for attending. Please keep supporting Bike Story Night. It's a really cool thing. Valerie, we want you in Colorado. And on that note, I have to say goodbye to my Dallas friends. I am sorry. We love you, Savannah. We're gonna miss you. I'm leaving Dallas. I'll be full-time in Colorado come June, July. It's been a rough couple years here. My family's gone, and so you come on up to Colorado, come visit, and there's always a place. All right, whether you want to camp, hang out, shower, go have a beer, ride bikes, do whatever it is. I'm up there. Just hope you like the high altitude because we're at 8,000 feet. So, cheers and pedal on, people. Always just pedal on.
So we just started fixing the bikes at our house, even the bikes that aren't in very good shape, that we can take apart, some parts salvaged, smash one bike out of two bad ones, you know. Once the word got out, oh man, it was every day kids would come by, hey, I heard you give a bike for free, is that true? Yeah. So we've been outfitted with bikes that during heavier lockdown times, kids needed something to do, so again, once they found out that we were doing bikes, then they would just ride around the neighborhood every evening. Parents would come by and go, hey, bikes for me. And so, yeah, we got the whole neighborhood like the bike gang in Fort Worth, to go get those bikes. They had to meet certain requirements. Had to be a nonprofit organization, and they had to agree that they would repair the bikes and give them for free. We couldn't sell anything. We also have some groups that donate so that we can buy parts. If there's no used parts available, we can go buy new parts. So bike shops, we try to work with them. No, we're not trying to go in and do their business, so we buy parts from them as often as possible. In fact, they even donate some bikes sometimes. They get trade-ins that they just can't or don't want to refurbish, so they'll give those to us.
With so many bikes and parts on hand, the Comments Bike Gang eventually outgrew John's driveway.
We had this building that through a series of events ended up being owned by the HOA. There was really nothing happening here. So as the bike gang grew and we needed more space, I asked if we could use part of the building. So the board and the homeowner said, yeah, sure, it's okay. Because by that time they knew that it was a really good thing, that it was helping the neighborhood. As the building opened up, people had never been in here before. They looked around like, wow, that's great. What else can we do? So as food donated, and so we're starting a food pantry. For a long time, people had wanted a playground for the kids. There wasn't really anything here, so we got volunteers and decided we would build a playground and a little recreation area. So we did that. We built a little play set, basketball goal, rocks to climb on. We also started a community garden. Terran Food Bank helped us a lot. Yeah, come on, you come to our garden and see how it's done. We'll help you build yours. So we brought in a lot of dirt, fill dirt, grade, mulch, and everything. I knew there was a lot of things that people wanted to do in the neighborhood, but it just didn't start. So sometimes just getting things started, then it just opens the floodgates. So I think that's kind of what happened here. That once we opened the building for the bikes, then that opened the neighborhood, and people they weren't afraid to present their other ideas.
FortWorth.org. Be sure to follow. Guido seems like an amazing person. Hopefully he could come to the next one, maybe in Fort Worth. I'm really excited to introduce our very first storyteller. We have Heather, who's going to be coming up to the stage. Heather has a bike story. Most of you maybe know her. Amazing, triumphant journey. Heather McNair, everyone.
Trying to figure out how I was going to start this. For those who don't know me, I am Heather McNair, and I am the president of Bike DFW. Bike DFW is a regional nonprofit working for more and safer cycling across all of north central Texas. And that's a big part of my life, and there's a story behind how I got here, and maybe not the one that you would have expected. In the role that I have with Bike DFW, I frequently talk to people outside of the Dallas-Fort Worth region. And in light of the fact that Dallas was considered one of the worst bicycle cities in the nation there for a few years, one of the big questions I get is there like a bike community in Dallas? Is there like, a bike culture there? And I get to tell them my story at that moment. So you guys get to hear my story that I tell them. Back in 2012, well, first let me say I am married to my best friend. We've been married for 38 years, which is hard to say because that's a long ass time. Many of you know McNair, and we're the proud parents to 3 really cool adults who do good things every day. And I really can't ask for anything more than that. And then I get to be a part of this community because back in 2012, we had 3 teenagers at home. I was homeschooling, so all of my existence was revolving around our children. At that point, McNair was working, as he always did, and he had been a commuter. We've always been a one-car family. He's always been a commuter. So in the early days, it was skateboarding and bus. And then in about 2005, he got a job in Allen. And you can't get to Allen on the bus, unfortunately. So for the first time, we had a first last mile issue. It was actually a first 4 miles and last 4 mile issue. And somebody had given us a bike. It was sitting in our garage, hadn't been touched long since we got it, I don't think. And our solution was that he was gonna ride the train as far north as he could get in Plano, and he was gonna jump on the bike, and he was gonna ride, and then he was gonna leave it at the train station, because we didn't need it at home. We weren't gonna do anything with it there. That lasted maybe a week, and then he was addicted completely. So what started off as a train ride to that last 4 miles became quickly a 20-mile each way ride down Jupiter on his bicycle. And he tinkered and he played, and it was this big steel old bike that weighed 400 pounds, okay, that we hand painted at some point because we needed to. Anyway, he was a commuter, that's what he did. So in 2012, I'm busy with the kids. They had a lot of medical issues, so I did a lot of medical advocacy. That was kind of my life at that point in time. McNair was doing his thing. Life is good. We just moved into a new house. We were pretty stoked. Life was good. And then the day came that changed our world forever. And that was the day that we got a phone call that McNair had been hit by a car. He was out running errands. He was less than 3 miles from our house. And that was all we knew. So we booked it down to Baylor, downtown. Got there, and the first thing that happened was first of all, the ER at Baylor was dead. There was nobody in there. And I've never been into the Baylor ER that there wasn't a full waiting room. There was nobody there, weirdly, okay? And then a priest started walking towards me and the kids, and I thought, oh shit, no, go the other way. You're not coming towards me. And he said, let's move you guys to a room, you know, where you guys can be quiet. And I'm like, oh God, this is the end. And thankfully, within a couple minutes, I realized he was just distracting us while they finished doing scans on McNair. The good news was everybody kept reminding us that he was talking to them. And if y'all know McNair, he talks. So there's no telling what he was saying, but he was talking to them a lot because they kept telling me that he was still talking. Long story short, which I'm gonna preface this with the fact that anybody that knows me knows that I don't know what long story short actually means. So forgive me, I'm trying to make this really quick and get it all in, but that's just the story of my life. We went back and he was very, very, very broken. He had a head injury, brain injury, he had a laceration on the back of his head. Every vertebra in his spine was fractured. His left rib cage was collapsed and his left lung was punctured. His spleen was lacerated, his splenic artery was lacerated. He had shattered his tailbone, his pelvis was broken in 6 places, and the upper left femur was broken. And in that moment, your brain just kind of does weird flip-flops because it's not real. This can't be really happening. So they took him back and they got the splenic artery fixed. And they got, eventually over the next couple of days, they put a pin in his hip. And then they came to me and they said, hey, we need to make a decision here. He has collapsed that left rib cage. And a couple of years ago, so 2010, 2009, we would have just left it because it heals, you know, and people go on with a broken rib cage. And to fix it, we will have to cut him from here all the way down. They said, so we just didn't used to do it, but we can now. So we need to decide, do we want to do this or not? And I said, look, your goal is to get him back on a bike 200 to 250 miles a week. So whatever you need to do that's what you need to do. So we rebuilt his rib cage. He is titanium man now. But that allowed him to keep his lung and be able to continue to ride after all of this. So all of that to say, we then spent, so for those that don't know, when you're in ICU, ICU time is relatively short, right? Either you get just a little bit better and you're not actively trying to die and they get you out of there to the floor, or you die, one of the two. We spent 32 days in ICU, which meant he was actively trying to die for 32 days. And here's the amazing part. McNair didn't know that many people, just a few people that rode. He was a commuter. He was a utilitarian cyclist. He didn't go on bike rides. We didn't have that many social rides back then even. But he was on bike forums, and he helped people find routes to get from point A to point B. And he knew a couple of people in the bike community. And on that day, they activated. And from that day on, every single day, there was a cyclist. They made sure I had lunch while I sat in ICU. They made sure my family, my mom, and my kids at home had dinner in a cooler that sat out in front of the door. They made sure that my kids had things to do that distracted them away from this horrible, horrible thing that was happening. All these people that didn't know us from Adam came out of the freaking woodwork, and they took care of us. They carried us through this period of time. So, 32 days, he finally wakes up. He has no idea who I am. He doesn't know who our children are. He can't remember what you've said to him 2 seconds before. So when he first woke up in ICU, he looked at me and he had a trach, so he couldn't speak. So he mouthed the words, "What happened?" Now mind y'all, I suck at reading lips. I mean, really, really suck at reading lips. But I did figure this out. So I thought, okay, here we go. I gotta tell him. Okay, but you got hit by a car, but you're gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. He goes, oh, okay. And then about 2 seconds later, he goes, "What happened?" Okay, so I repeat, still emotionally feeling every bit of it. By about the 30th time, I said, "Dude, you got hit by a car, you're gonna be okay, okay? Let's move on, let's talk about something else." We spent an additional 30 days in rehab after that, where he was slowly coming back to us, kind of figuring things out. And then weirdly, and there is no explanation, miracles happen, he had to have a surgery. Where they had gone in to fix the splenic artery became a pseudoaneurysm. They needed to get that taken care of. I expect him to come out of surgery, whether the pain or anesthesia, he was gonna probably have a setback. No biggie, I've done this before, we can get through it, right? He gets out of surgery and he's back. His fucking brain turned back on again while he was in surgery, and I'm not kidding. Like, he knew who I was, he knew who our kids were. That was the first day from May 15th, this is July 3rd, that he has any memory whatsoever. But he came back to us. So we went back to rehab, did another couple weeks, we got out early. We went home at the 6-month mark. Dude was back on the bike again. In the meantime, though, all during that time, the cycling community was coming into our home, and they were putting new floors in because he was going to come home in a wheelchair, and they put a wheelchair ramp out front. And they made sure that everything that needed to be taken care of was taken care of, so that all we had to do was concentrate on getting him better. So when people ask me if there's a cycling community in Dallas, yeah. There's a cycling community in Dallas, and it's amazing, and it does amazing things. So afterwards, we get home, McNair's like, we're both like, how do we pay forward all this amazing kindness that's been given to us? How do we possibly do something that's as critically important and critically amazing as what all these people did? And so he got involved with Bike DFW, and I went back to being mom, taking care of the kids, medical advocacy, all that good stuff. And then my kids grew up, and they hit 18, and it was like, what the fuck am I gonna do with my life now? They were still at home, but nonetheless, and the opportunity came up for me to be on the board of Bike DFW and do their communications. And I went into it thinking, I have a little bit of a unique perspective on cycling because my husband uses it as a mode of transportation. So it just kind of gave me a different perspective. And in that first year, I had the opportunity to go to DC and be a part of the bike summit that the League of American Bicyclists puts on. I had the opportunity to meet with cities and other bike orgs and all of this. And and realized by the end of the year that bicycles are insanely intersectional. There's nothing happening in this world that I can't relate back to a bicycle. Whether it's socioeconomic, or it is people being able to get to work, whether it is kids being able to get to school in some way other than in a car. And so I had a huge transformation, and while I may not ride a bike nearly as much as a lot of you guys do, man, am I passionate about everybody having the chance if they want to, and if they get to feel safe and comfortable doing it, and that at the end of the day, we can see bikes as a mode of transportation and a way to get from point A to point B. And so everything that I can do to make that happen and to make it so that he gets to continue riding, and he now does round trip 52 miles 3 days a week on his e-bike, and he is killing it again on the bike. And so anyway, so thank God for the cycling community in Dallas. I don't know where I'd be right now if it was not for you all and for the love and support that you guys continually give. So thank you.
Don't worry, guys, I'm supposed to be up here. Hello, everybody. Heather, that was an amazing story, absolutely powerful. It is super motivational. And Valerie, thank you for what you do for the bike community and Bike Story Night. But I'm supposed to introduce myself. So my name is Princess Amara. Most of you know me. Yeah, thank you. Whoop. I'm also 5'9", so gotta adjust the mic a little bit, sorry. Perfect. Well, thank you. Yes, I'm from Florida originally. I'm not here to share a story, but I'm here to introduce our next speaker. My good friend, she has a really great story to share. She's originally from Maryland. She's been living in Dallas for a couple years now, and I think she has a really fun story that we may all be able to relate with in some way, but I think it's really fun to be able to share this with everybody. So our next speaker is Elsa, and please give her a warm welcome, and let's hear her story.
Well, we didn't plan it this way, but I feel like Heather got to speak to what it's like to be 38 years into a marriage, and that was really inspiring. I am in year 2, and my story is a little bit about what that's been like for me, and my husband is right here in the front and struggling with his contact lens, so we'll see if he's even here to hear what I have to say. ChatGPT told me to call this "Some Bunny Loves You," because there will be a feature rabbit in the story. Next slide. So my husband Nick and I got engaged after 4 years of dating, March 2023 in Santa Fe, New Mexico. We met out in New Mexico working for an immigration nonprofit, Santa Fe Dreamers Project. We were very yin and yang from the start. And we went through a lot. We went through the pandemic, living and working together in really like a single room space with many ups and downs. But we powered through it. And then we went on to do 3 years of long distance dating when we were in graduate school. And toward the end of graduate school, we thought, hey, we're pretty resilient. We think we can handle things. Let's get engaged. Let's get married. And we didn't really know yet what was to maybe test us. Next slide. Here we are in Charlottesville, Virginia. That's where I was doing graduate school at the time. Nick came out to intern and really spend time with me during the second summer. And really that was our first foray into cycling. I had been a longtime CrossFit athlete, but it pretty much banned him from joining me there because I'm very competitive and he was not cutting it. So that way, can you go back with this one? into this. If you can tell in this picture, it's my mom's borrowed bike, borrowed shoes, and also I'm not wearing bike shorts. They're not padded, like brand new to cycling, didn't know what was in store. Okay, next slide. So, you can see my face there, and there is a reason for that face. So, when Nick is originally from Dallas, Texas, and so I perhaps should have seen it coming that we could potentially move here. Except that when we first started dating, I said it was my veto. I said, no way, Jose, Texas ain't for me. I'm from the East Coast, it's not happening. And he said, fine, my veto's California. And I was like, great, don't care. And then toward the end of graduate school, he got his dream job offer in Dallas, Texas. And so we were engaged, and I was put to the test for the first time, really, in sort of choosing the other person before yourself. And so he decided to get me all hyped on this idea, and he said, I'm going to take you to a garden. And I was thinking of a Charlottesville garden, and he was thinking of the water gardens in Fort Worth, in which I started to cry. And I said, I can't live here. Until next slide, he tried again, and he took me to White Rock Lake in Dallas. By the way, no shade to Fort Worth, we love Fort Worth. It's just like the water gardens was like so far from what I was thinking a garden was gonna be. He took me to White Rock Lake, and I thought, all right, if we live near the lake, I think I can do this. This is your dream. I can't stop you. So I signed on for it, and we moved to White Rock Lake, near White Rock Lake, and we decided to continue our cycling hobby. Next slide. And we got married in September 2024, so these are my very quick obligatory marriage pictures, just to prove that we did tie the knot, we did do it. But there's year one of marriage. We moved, and the first 6 months were tough for me, I'm not gonna lie. I came without a job, and I was lonely, and I was stressed about money, and we went through an addiction and dealing with that, and we became the guardians to a teenager, so that on our first anniversary I said, did you think that we would have a 17-year-old by now? So a lot of shit happened that first year, and it was not my ideal, was not what I had pictured marriage would be. But, you know, we were trying to find ways to stay connected, spend time together, and cycling was that for us. And we definitely continued to bicker on those rides. As I said, I'm very competitive. And this is the one sport I will admit that Nick is better at me, better than I am. The only time I'm saying that. I'm cautious, and he's not cautious at all. And so it was still a bit contentious until there was really this watershed moment for me on June 1st, I looked this up, of 2025, so just this past year. We were on a ride, next slide, and we're on this ride, and Nick was getting irritated because I was going too slow, and I was getting irritated at every time I try and say something to him, he can't hear me ever. It's always the issue, and he's always like, bike next to me, and I'm like, I don't trust you, I need to bike behind you. And he's like, well, then this hearing thing's not gonna change. And we were riding by, and I saw this little blob of a thing, which was this little bunny rabbit here. And we stopped, and I was like, is he supposed to be here? We ended up calling our parents, even though we're now 30 years old, because we were like, what did we do? And we decided that this bunny had been stranded from his mama. He was on the hot concrete. And so, I don't know, the two of us, we are both kind of rescuers in nature. And so we sprinted back. It was probably the fastest I've yet to go on a bike. To get back, get a car, sorry, we needed a car, and a box, and call all of the hotlines and figure out where we could take this little baby bunny, because they have to get fed like every couple of hours, said the internet. So it ended up being this several hours long ordeal, and we got him up north to one of these incredibly cool animal rescuers that had like truly dozens of bunny rabbits and raccoons and all the animals, and I was so impressed. And we did this thing together, and it was just a moment for me, you know, spring in Dallas. For those of you who have been here a while, I've been here now for 2, is a really special time. It's the best time of the year, and I remembered that we are this team, and that we have very similar values when it comes to taking time out of our day to save the little guys. And that's kind of when I decided, okay, I'm going to invest in this cycling hobby a little bit more as a way to invest in my marriage and also in the DFW community. I upgraded my bike that evening, and we have done many rides to date. I have joined the Dallas Bicycle Coalition. We just did Bike the Bluebonnets for the first time together this past weekend. And so I would say the moral of my story is marriage is not always bunnies and rainbows, but sometimes it can be a little bit of that. So thank you. I never wanted to move here. You all know that. Not my choice. Kicking, screaming, but I have really grown to love it, and that is in like no small part to the cycling community. And so really thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thanks.
Okay, how's it going? Y'all are being an amazing audience. Thank you once again to Elsa. That was very, very lovely. Great story. Y'all feel inspired? Yeah, get to get on your bike. Hopefully not rainy day soon. Cool. I wanted to treat you all, since you're such great audience members. Thank you for turning off your phones, and I feel like everyone's really staying connected, so thank you for that. And for that, I'm going to give the first prize, which is a Bike Story Night t-shirt. We have lots of other prizes coming up. We have a prize from Moose Packs. We have a gift card from Pull Through. Thanks again, and shout out to Christina. Yes, we have passes to the Dallas bike ride. Speaking of Becca in the house. And a couple more prizes. I'm sorry, I'm leaving them out, but without further ado, so I can introduce the next storyteller. Drum roll. This is it. Pull out your tickets. I hope you've got your ticket ready. I hope you are numbers, last 3 digits, 7, 8, 9. Where are you? 7, 8, 9? Yay! Okay, I'll come to you in a minute. Amazing, you are a winner officially tonight. You are all winners though. You are a merch winner. But yeah, I'm going to introduce our next storyteller, Matt Fisher. I'm super stoked to hear his story because I've heard so much about the Mid-South Gravel, although Matt's story has more to do than Mid-South Gravel, but I'm excited to hear a little bit about it. Matt is also the local chapter leader for All Bodies on Bikes, the DFW area. And I got to only meet Matt tonight for the first time, and when he reached out submitting his story, I got really excited because I have met Marley Blonsky, the one of the founders of All Bodies on Bikes, and I think they're doing amazing work as well. So thank you again to everyone for being here. I'm so honored to be in this beautiful space. Sometimes our events are kind of in a brewery and there's lots going on in the background, so it feels extra special to be hosting a Bike Story Night here and have all of your attention. So give it up for our next storyteller, Matt Fisher.
Hello, everyone. I made some notes so I don't forget stuff because I'm that person. So in 2022 and 2023, my family and I went to Bentonville, Arkansas for the Black Bear Bonanza. And I know you're thinking this is bike story night, not bear story night, but I promised we were going to get there. So the black bear are almost extinct in Arkansas for a long time, and now they have come back. And this event is a celebration of that. But we really went because one of my favorite podcasts was recording live there. And so the first year we went and did all the touristy stuff, the Walmart Museum, the Children's Museum, all the cute little shops downtown. And then the second year, I wanted to get out of the tourist trap. Wanted to explore, go out in nature. And I found that in Bentonville, there are literally millions of dollars have been spent to build bike trails. I love being outdoors, I love being in nature. And I thought, well, I want to go out and explore that, but I'm not exactly a fit guy, and so it's like a bike would help me do that. So I decided that I was going to get a bike. I got the bug. And so the last day we were in town, I went to 4 different bike shops in downtown Bentonville because I had a mission. And went there, and as my 4-year-old would say, I'm a big fella. And so I was nervous going into these shops because I do not look like the typical Euro road bike bro kind of guy. And I was concerned that I wouldn't be able to find a bike that would fit me or I would feel comfortable on. And I wanted to find a bike shop that would be able to answer my questions and make me feel comfortable like I belonged on a bike. And every bike shop tried, but they couldn't tell me weight limits and things like that, and so I just kind of felt discouraged. And on the way out of town, we stopped at one last place, which is the Specialized store at Bentonville, which is actually just a rental shop for people coming into town. And kind of got the same answers there, and we're about to leave, and one of the customers spoke up and said, hey, have you heard of All Bodies on Bikes? And I said, no, I haven't, what's that? And she said, well, my name's Marley Blonsky, and I'm one of the founders of All Bodies on Bikes. And we strive to create an inclusive cycling community for riders of all sizes, all ages, all speeds, all genders, and make everybody feel like they have a place in this community. I said, well, that sounds really cool. That sounds like exactly what I'm looking for. And so from there, I started following them on social media and saw that they were really involved in this race in Oklahoma called the Mid-South Gravel Race. And it's a running race and a gravel road race that happens in March. And so I started following all of those accounts and everything and seeing what was going on. And the Mid-South looked like a great event. For those of you who don't know, the race organizer, Bobby Wintle, he stays at the finish line all day long and hugs everybody who comes across the line. And they actually throw a big party for the last finisher, called the Dead Fucking Last Finisher. And they get sprayed with champagne and have a live band playing, and it's amazing. And I said, oh, that is what I want to be involved in right there. Like, that sounds like a party. And so I went back home and started researching what kind of bike I wanted, and I went to Bike Mart in Fort Worth, and got my bike, which if you have not been to Bike Mart in Fort Worth, I'm going to give you a heads up that they have cheat codes when it comes to selling bikes, because you go for a test ride on a bike and you walk out the back door and you're immediately on the Trinity Trails in Fort Worth. The river is right there, the birds are singing, the wind is in your face, and I don't know anybody who could say, no, I don't really want a bike after riding that. So I got my first bike and I asked them, I said, hey, I'm interested in doing some rides and being in community with people. What kind of beginner rides could I go on? And they said, well, we don't really know of any. We just mainly have fast road rides that happen out of the shop. And so, I'm not a fast rider yet. And I said, oh, well, that doesn't really sound like me. And so I just started exploring on my own. I found out that the Trinity Trails started about a 5-minute ride from my house. And I just started exploring. And then in 2024, I kept riding, and bikes had been really good for, I always struggled with anxiety, and bikes were really good for anxiety. I I just felt lighter after a good ride. You know, Fight Club, there's this quote that after fighting, everything is the volume turned down. And that's the way it felt after getting off of a bike ride. Like everything in the world, all the stressors just kind of had the volume turned down a little bit. And in 2024, All Bodies on Bikes posted that they were going to take a team of non-traditional athletes to the Mid-South. And so I applied and I got accepted. And their goal with this was to take these people who don't look like a typical athlete and equip them and train them for this event, and give them gear from sponsors and work with a coach to have a training plan to build up to this race, and have monthly calls with a team of mentors to get you ready. And so I got accepted and did all of that stuff, and March of 25, it was here, race weekend. And if you don't know, that year the race was canceled because of wildfires. A big windstorm came in Friday afternoon during the expo. They canceled the running race, and then that turned into grass fires that quickly spread to the town, and hundreds of people lost their homes that day. And so naturally, of course, the race was canceled, and they didn't want to pull resources from police and fire to shut down roads or anything, and it wasn't the time to have a fun bike ride and a celebration. And that was a hard thing to hold, because we had all worked so hard for this race leading up to this, and getting ready and put in so much work, and then it was taken away. But at the same time, that felt very small compared to the pain and the difficulty that the people of the town experienced. So holding both of those things together was tough. So we came back home, and we actually started the DFW chapter of All Bodies on Bikes, and started hosting rides and got involved with other events here like Gravel Locos, make sure that people that are in bigger bodies or different bodies have a place in the cycling community. So for 2026, I wanted to be involved again, and so I became a mentor for the All Bodies on Bikes team. So I helped pick the team, I helped prepare them for the event, part of those monthly calls, and at the same time, I was ramping myself back up for the race. And you know, it's been a long time goal, and I was worried about the elevation gain, because around here, you know, I've done big miles here, but there's nowhere in DFW to really get the same elevation gain that you would get in Oklahoma, the rolling hills of Oklahoma, and so that was really, I was nervous about that. The race day came, and I rolled out with my friends and my community and the team, and we had a great time. I hit a personal record for elevation gain in a ride before we hit the first aid station, and I was feeling so good. My anxiety was like, you feel too good, there must be something wrong. Like you were going to come crashing down at any moment. But it was fun. I hit the average speed that I wanted. I stopped and waited for friends. I took my time at the aid stations. I stopped and took pictures. There were pros on course because the pro race had been Friday, so a lot of the pros came out to cheer on the regular people. And it was great. Had a great time. And as I crossed the finish line, as I come to the finish line, I could see Bobby down there on the finish line waiting to give me a hug. And I crossed the finish line, and as I crossed the finish line, we were both elder emos. And so, as you can see here, we were both singing along to Helena by My Chemical Romance as it was playing on the PAs. And it was a great moment. It was almost 2 years to the day since I first bought my bike at Bike Mart. And I crossed the finish line at the Mid-South. Thank you. And I hug my wife, who has been at every aid station and every finish line at all these events that I've done, and has been so supportive. And we cried and celebrated this big milestone. You know, looking back on this event, I feel like this is what bike riding should be. It should be a place in a world that is hell-bent on trying to divide us, whether it's politically, based on religion, the color of our skin, our sexuality or anything. None of that matters when we get on a bike together and ride bikes. And I hope that if nothing else from this talk, that you take away would be that if we can all get on bikes together and put those differences aside. I know that riding bikes, I've met a lot of people that wouldn't be normally in my social circles, that, you know, that I wouldn't have met otherwise. And it's changed my life for the better, and I think that if we can put those differences aside and ride bikes together, I think we can make the world a better place. Thank you very much.
Okay. Oh my gosh. This wraps up the first part of our night. The next part is our short intermission. We're gonna do, again, 6-7 minutes. I'm just gonna go there. Seriously. Well, I got your attention. We have 3 more storytellers and then a short bike film all about all bodies and bikes as well. And it's really amazing. It's made so well. Thanks to Matt once again for sharing his story with us. So I want to take this opportunity to have a short intermission, and you better be back in 6-7 minutes because we have prizes, and if you're not here, I'm so sorry, Charlie. So we have more prizes. We have our community corner over here. If you haven't got a chance to share your bike goal or dream, there's also some free stickers. We've got some bike story merch. If you want to take a minute to get a drink or use the restroom, say hi to Becca. Anyone else that maybe you've been meaning to meet and you've just been following and haven't had a chance, I hope that you take that moment now, and we'll see you shortly.
Oh, hello! Just wanted to pop in and say thank you so much for watching and being a part of our community. We are so excited. We just celebrated our 25th event in 5 years at Dallas, Four Corners Brewing. Thank you so much to them, all of our partners and supporters who made the event that much more special. Extra special thank you to the storytellers and volunteers. I hope to host another event in Dallas or the Dallas area. There seems to be some interest in Fort Worth for sure, so it would be fun to mix things up. Be sure to stay connected, sign up for our newsletter if you haven't yet. Reach out with any questions as always, and hope you enjoy the rest of the stories. I'm so excited to watch the full video myself, but wanted to say hello. And thank you again for watching.
I hope you all had a chance to check it out. Our community corners table back here, got some stickers, wrote down your bike goals. We have a lot of bike goals up from Austin, but I really, before the night ends, before you leave, please, Dallas, write down your bike goals or dream. You guys have some dreams? You have some bike dreams? Where do you hope to ride soon? In outside of Texas, Amara?
Oh my gosh.
New York, okay. Michael? You have any dream places you want to bike? Or visit the Netherlands, absolutely. Who has been to the Netherlands? Anyone? Oh, sure, we have a couple. Okay. Love it. Also on my wish list. All right, I have a couple of prizes to give away. Pull out your tickets. Our next prizes are from Electric Avenue Bikes. I don't know if you've been there, but we got a bell, a bike mirror, and a water bottle with socks inside. All you need for your next bike ride. Okay, get those last minute tickets. All right, I have a lovely assistant who's going to help me pull out the next ticket. Not looking, not cheating at all. Last 3 digits. 774. 4. Look at this, look at all this, look at what he's won. Look at all this beautiful thing. What's your name? Keisha? Keisha. Keisha. Do you have a bike mirror or a bell yet? Oh. Oh, sweet. That's so sweet. Do you want me to hold this while you are, yeah, I'll bring it to you. Oh, or you I'll bring it. Congrats, Keisha. Thank you once again, Electric Avenue. Mark, the owner of the shop, is actually here, so if you ever wanted to know more. Okay, we have our next storyteller coming up, and we have our introducer who's going to give you more about that story. Thank you all once again for joining us and supporting this event. I am so happy to be here. I see lots of smiling faces and good feedback so far, so I can't thank you enough for helping us make this event happen and making us feel welcome. Thank you, truly, truly. Thank you to the volunteers at the check-in. Also, Jordan over here, just want to do a quick shout out. Thank you for bringing up your bikes here. I love this, you don't understand. Okay, go ahead.
Hey everybody, I'm Jordan. Been working in the AV. So our next storyteller's got a story about multimodal transportation and how active transportation plays a part in that, right? And I think that's part of what makes bikes and other types of active transportation so unique, is how they can kind of fit into your life in these little gaps. Or maybe you have another solution for a lot of it, but the last mile or something like that, or just trips in your neighborhood. It really helps you kind of think beyond getting in the big box of your car and driving miles and miles when you maybe don't need to. So welcome Jason to the stage.
Hi, I'm Jason Grant, and I've got a little bit of a story/lecture about eccentric modes of travel. Let's see. Oh yeah. Also, get this out of here. So my talk is about car-free, plane-free, mostly stress-free trips to overlooked yet interesting destinations in Texas and Oklahoma. I kind of got into this together with my wife, like at the tail end of the pandemic. Like most of you, I grew up here. I drove everywhere. I flew a lot. Over the years, I grew tired of both of these experiences, and I have the historical memory to know that they have legitimately gotten worse over the years. Like the airport experience was pretty bad, and I remember the pre-September 11th, 2001 days. So I'm also at the point where I can kind of do a lot of what I want, and I figured I've done enough car driving and spending time in airport lines, so let's switch to the two greatest modes of transportation, the skateboard and the train. And of course the bicycle, the trifecta, because I'm not here to crash your bike party, I love bikes too. Anyway, my wife and I, sometimes me, sometimes together, have done all of these trips, plus a few more that I didn't list. And whenever I'm telling people about this, the first question I always get is, what, there's a train? And yes, there are in fact two trains, Heartland Flyer and Texas Eagle, both Amtrak. These are long distance passenger trains. We have other shorter trains in the Metroplex. There is a train. They both run once a day in either direction from Dallas or a couple from Fort Worth. And the second question immediately after that is, how long did it take to get there? And I said, 5 hours. They're like, you could drive that in 3. And this to me is a really kind of car brain mentality, because everybody's thinking how to minimize the amount of time, because it's a low-key miserable experience. You get on the interstate, you're fighting traffic, the 18-wheelers in construction, you're being bombarded with these car wreck lawyer billboards everywhere, like, you injured? You injured yet? How about now? You've been 10 miles. Surely you've been in a life-changing car wreck by now. You've got the beaver selling you his nuggets. It's just an all-around terrible experience. Contrasted to the train where you get on, you look out the window, you see fields, you see trees, you do not see billboards, not too much. You don't see a lot of civilization, you see cows, there's some scenic parts, rivers, and all that, and you can just chill out and move around, walk down to the cafe and bar car, buy stuff to eat and drink. There's plenty of restrooms. So it's a great and far superior experience. And the third question is, so what do you do when you get there? Do you have to rent a car? Because if you have to rent a car, then what's the point? It's more convenient just to drive. Okay, fair point, but no, I don't rent a car because we take a couple little vehicles with us. I do kind of medium distance skateboarding. It's not a trick board, but it's good for like 10 or 15 miles, stuff like that. And my wife takes our Brompton, which folds up into a suitcase type thing, which makes Amtrak, the logistics, much more convenient, and I recommend doing that. You can take a full-size bike on certain routes and stations, but it's a lot more complicated. So Brompton folds up like a suitcase. You can ride right up to the train, and I'll diss on air travel for a while because the train stations are all downtown. You don't have to go like halfway to Fort Worth to get to the airport and pay for an expensive Uber. I can skate from our place to Union Station in under 10 minutes. You ride right up to the train. There's no security. You just give the conductor your ticket and you get on. The Brompton goes in the luggage rack on the first floor. The skateboard goes up above, and that's it. And you just grab it when you get off. So far superior. Anyway, the other part to that is careful city selection and trip planning, which is kind of what I'll get into here with using Texarkana as an example. So that's like, I also like taking these moody black and white pictures. And I'll talk a little bit about my fantasies of these. So Texarkana is a good city because everybody's like driven through it, and if you ask them, they're like, oh yeah, I drove through there, it didn't look like much. And indeed it's not much from the freeway. It's just like every other terrible town with like fast food chains and giant gas stations everywhere, and why would you ever stop? But if you go downtown, you get a wonderful sense of history because you really understand that it used to be a big and rich and important city. And they've got all these giant buildings, some of which are just vacant now, some are getting rehabilitated. But what Texarkana has that I look for, the train station, like just about every train station, is right downtown. You need an interesting place to stay. Maybe a historic hotel like in Mineola, or in this case, there was an old title company that had been converted to an Airbnb, and on both floors are like walk-in vaults and the big steel doors, and that was pretty cool, and it's right downtown, and so these are all walkable and bikeable places. You need enough restaurants. We'll get to Union Station. You need enough restaurants, bars, coffee shops, whatever you want for the amount of time you'll be there, which for us is usually maybe 3 days, something like that, because the trains only run once a day. You need a few cultural things. We love museums. Texarkana has a local history museum. They've got an antique car museum. Every 2 years they do the Cannonball Run, because if you remember the old Burt Reynolds movie, that's where they go to pick up the beer, is Texarkana. So everybody drives their vintage Trans Ams. I wasn't there for that, but it sounded cool. They have a regional arts center that does exhibits. They have a fabulous movie palace theater, the Perot. which is a little like the Majestic, only much bigger and more opulent. And we went to a Texarkana Symphony Orchestra concert one night there, and then hung out with the conductor afterwards at the restaurant next door. But I don't know about you, I entertain this fantasy of cities where you just bike and skate everywhere. Maybe there aren't any people at all in my cities, but that's just me. But I'm here to tell you, I'm here to tell you that Texarkana on a Sunday evening will make your dreams come true. Because my wife biked, I skated, pavement conditioned great. We went all over the downtown area, which is pretty big, and there were like no cars, nobody. And my wife likes biking, but not with cars around. She was totally comfortable. We had the whole city to ourselves, and we could live kind of in this fantasy world. And I found out about that when the Union Station pictures from a City Nerd video. I saw that train station. It's almost still the train station. The Amtrak is just built onto the side of it, but it's been abandoned for years now. Anyway, I used to do urban exploration and photography, and so I snuck in and did a little self-guided tour. It's right across the street from the police headquarters, because Texarkana is split between Texas and Arkansas. Everything's doubled up, so you'll have like 2 prisons, 2 juvenile jails, 2 courthouses, and they're all kind of these grim, like various jails and medical facilities for inmates. But the station is beautiful and amazing, and it's easy to sneak into. So Texarkana is a great trip. Some other ones I've done, Oklahoma is a great, I know people here love to hate on it, but it's got some cool stuff. The top 3 are from Oklahoma City, right in the bottom. I'll start with Norman, kind of a classic college town. OU is there, so it's got some beautiful buildings, really fantastic natural history museum, like almost like the Perot Museum here, but a little smaller, and an art history museum. And National Weather Service has a museum there because it's such a capital of extreme weather with all the tornadoes and stuff like that. So Norman, good college town, cheap food, restaurants open late, all the student stuff, vibes you would expect. Oklahoma City, we also really enjoy. It's like in a lot of ways better than downtown Dallas. Their downtown, even they pretty well destroyed it and demolished it all in the 1970s on the advice of I.M. Bay, ironically enough, as part of urban renewal. But they're building it back. It's got some good features. They have an excellent bike trail system, and you should definitely visit Science Museum Oklahoma, because they have a whole 2 rooms actually on the history of the bicycle, and an amazing collection of 19th and early 20th century bicycles and other bicycle-like contraptions that will amuse you to look at, and some are pretty. What else? You can take the river ferry, like up the Oklahoma River, and I skated all the way back on their trail system. Stop for tacos and an evening Ferris wheel ride on the way. So they're doing a lot of things kind of right. Dallas could take some lessons. Anyway, I encourage everybody to get on the train and combine it with bikes or skating or whatever, inline skates, and some of my skate club friends back there. And kind of take one final thought is, like, all this seems like Texarkana, that's boring, but put yourself in the mindset of maybe someone from Europe who comes over here and they're like, oh, we went to the crazy American city, everything was abandoned, it was so exotic, so cool. It's like you going to some little village in Germany and they're like, oh, why would anyone go there? It's boring. But it's only boring for them, it's not boring for us. So just switch your mind around and it all becomes really interesting. So that's my little talk and story. Thank you.
again for sharing that story. That was awesome. So, I'm super excited to introduce our next storyteller. Heather also has a fun story about learning to bike and getting more comfortable biking in this beautiful city you call Dallas. I haven't had a chance to bike in this city so much. Jordan had a chance a little bit last night. Angela, so sorry. And sent me some really cool pictures, and I'm really jealous, and I hope to someday soon bike more in Dallas. Hopefully before our next event I can just come for funsies and we can bike. Feel free anytime to send over your favorite local spots. I'm always curious about what's going on in other cities, especially so close, especially since I can take the Amtrak from Austin. It is going to take 10 hours probably, but just kidding. I'm super excited to have our next storyteller come up, Angela Mathew.
Hey everyone, if you don't know me, my name is Angela, and one of my biggest dreams came true 6 months ago when I got to move back to Dallas. And some of you might know me because I lived here before for a gap year during college, and that was between May 2023 and 2024, and that year kind of changed my life, and biking was a big part of that. So kind of as I stand here, I feel like a girl at 22 again, even though I'm like 24. But yeah, the story started in May 2023 when I kind of moved to Dallas sight unseen. I had been to Houston before, but I somehow had just never done any research about Dallas, and I got an internship here at the Dallas Morning News, and it was always my dream to be a journalist, so I was very excited, but at the same time I was kind of moving after failing a bunch of classes in college. I was studying political science in the Midwest, and I just really didn't like it. But I kind of moved here thinking, okay, I can just forget about all of that, have a totally clean slate. And as I moved here, I didn't have a car because I didn't do much research at all. So I lived in Irving, kind of off of, I think it was Tom Braniff Freeway. I would hike 20 minutes across the interstate to take the Orange Line. But I loved it because I was just so excited to not be in the Midwest anymore and to have a job and not worry about grades. And I had a bunch of other intern journalist friends who would drive me around, and we would just explore Dallas. But after the summer got over, things kind of changed. A lot of people went back to school. And I kind of realized that, okay, I'm not going back to school because of my whole grade situation. And I kind of convinced my bosses to let me stay longer. So I got kind of an extension till December. And I started falling in love with Dallas more. I really loved the eyeball on Main Street. It kind of reminded me of myself in a way, like this insider, outsider. I was learning about the city as a journalist, and since I was walking everywhere, I feel like I really was the man on the street, which as a journalist was very exciting to me. But I think doing that, I started writing more about, living car-free and kind of the city issues when it comes to road maintenance. And I think I interviewed some of the biking advocacy groups, and that was the first time that I thought, hey, they sound really cool. I think biking is something that I should do, especially since I'm not spending any money on a car. So I think it was January 2024, I had interviewed Becca. I think she's here somewhere. And just talking to her, I realized that this is something I could do. So I showed up at Critical Mass, and I hadn't biked since I was maybe 12 years old. So that first ride was really tough, and it was raining, and it was pretty bad. But even though no one knew me there, everyone was super welcoming, and people helped me get home in the rain, and just that experience, taught me that even though I didn't know a lot of people here, this is something that I should be doing more and more. And then I think from that point on, I started biking every weekend. I kind of live in the village, which is near White Rock Lake and the Katy Trail, so I've explored all of those trails. I would bike for 15 miles and then go to dinner by myself in Lower Greenville, and I felt like one of those people with a dog or something, where I would take the bike, put my helmet on the table, and be like, I'm not alone because I have this bike, and no one's gonna judge me for being here. And yeah, just doing that made me really love Dallas, and I think biking here is something that's so unique because everyone thinks of Dallas as so car-centric that when you do meet people who bike, it becomes a very, very shared sense of identity. And I was really inspired by all the people doing advocacy. And yeah, so I moved out of here May 2024, moved back to the Midwest with a much better outlook on life, graduated college, and I biked a little bit in South Bend, the college town I was at. And I think biking again helped me to have a better outlook because I made some friends, working at a local bike garage there. And then this summer I was in Boston, and obviously that's a big biking city with the Charles River and all of those trails. But something about Dallas is just different. The culture here with Critical Mass, the music you guys play, the kind of party atmosphere, you just don't feel that in Boston. I feel like all the people there are grad students who are doing super academic things, and the Critical Mass there just does not feel very fun. So I'm so glad to be back. I've been back for 6 months, but I'm writing about the suburbs now, so I spend a lot of my life on the tollway in traffic, which is something I never had to deal with before, but I'm looking forward to getting back in the biking scene, and thank you for listening to me, guys.
Dallas, you're so cool. Angela approves. I'm once again up here introducing a storyteller for you all. This is our last featured storyteller, and then we have another short bike film. We also have more prizes, so stick around. Lots more coming up. Hexel is our next storyteller who has some amazing photos. I'm very impressed with Hexel's photos. Do y'all know Hexel? Anybody? I'm super thankful to, once again, the superstar that is Becca, who helped me find some storytellers because it takes a little bit of arm twisting and digging sometimes. But hopefully now some of you have got the gist, and next time you will just sign up. Check out the submission form. It's pretty easy. I don't need you to write me a book or anything like that. Just a couple of sentences. Let me know you have a gist now of what kind of stories, and all the amazing storytellers I hope tonight have inspired you. But one last storyteller to inspire you to live an amazing bike life.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm a super visual person, if you haven't noticed, so I like having as many visuals as possible. My name is Hexel, Colorado. Go ahead, give me that next slide. Don't let the name fool you. I'm originally from Dallas. And tonight I'll share some stories about all of the wonderful and unexpected ways that I've used my e-bike. Now this photo is, that photo is not my e-bike. That's actually a rental from the Electric Avenue Bike Shop in Victory Park. The proprietor of which, Mark Sato, is here. Mark, where are you? I hope he's there. He is. So I rented it from his shop. And I picked this photo because, number one, it's such a great photo. This is from the Dallas bike ride last year. And I had rented this e-bike because this one was in the shop getting repaired. And so, but I still wanted to take my partner, Faye, with me on this 20-mile bike ride. And I chose this also because the theme of my story is about all of the unexpected ways and ways that you can use it for more than just moving from point A to point B. So in this photo at that bike ride, yeah, we had a fun time going around the city, but we also were spending quality time together with friends. We were also seeing different parts of the city that I had never seen, even living here all of my life. And also, if you look closely, you can see she's dual wielding video cameras, which is something you're not advised to do if you're in a car. And then also, at the same time, you can see all these people who were there. If you see the other photo that was posted on the Dallas Bike Night Instagram, there's another angle of it where Emily is kind of sneaking up on me from behind. But all the while, there's thousands of us who are demonstrating how wonderful the city can be when we dedicate more space on our roads for people rather than cars. And so that's what this story is all about, or these stories are all about. Next slide. So my bike story, I was not always so fashionable as you see now. That's my dorky 17-year-old self in 2014. I've always lived in DFW, but my teenage years were East Fort Worth. And when I got my first internship, I was biking an hour to Hearst for my first internship. You can see that's the route there. When I turned 18, I got my first office tech job in Irving. And so I would bike 30 minutes to the Richland Hills TRE station, then take a train for my first job there. And it was fine. I think I enjoyed it for a while, but about 6 months into that first job, I eventually did get a car because, well, if you were to ask me when I was 18, why did I get a car, I will tell you it was because, oh, I needed to get to work. But I was already getting to work. And it was really more about fitting in. I wanted to be that guy who had a turn, taking the coworkers to lunch in the carpool. I wanted to not be the person bringing in extra clothes to change out of my sweaty clothes from biking in. I didn't like asking for rides to go to the social happy hours in some random town next over after work. And so I was, I'm turning 30 this year. I don't really think about standing out. I'm not really worrying about that. But when you're 18, fitting in is everything. And so that was the real motivator for getting a car. And 1 second. I have so many notes, I want to make sure I don't get off track too much. And so I got a car, and that's why I really got it. Oh, and ultimately, I was really trying to fix one thing, a stigma issue, where whenever I told people about my hour-long commute by bicycle and by transit, they would say, wow, that's really impressive. But everyone's heard this before, if you've ever biked to work, and they would say those 4 words, oh, I could never. Right? You've all heard that before, oh, I could never. And so, and there's a lot of factors behind why that happens. And so, everybody knows me as this guy who went car-free 4 years ago, but it's still the case that most of my adult life I've been driving everywhere. And so, even after 4 years, I was hoping to see like Liam or Brooklyn here from Dallas Bicycle Coalition, but there are also students at UTA, and they're telling me about how they get to school from Plano to UT Arlington, and they would take the train all the way to the TRE station, and then from the TRE station they would bike to the UT campus. I mean, sound familiar? And they would talk about how they would bike an hour for that last leg, and then even me, after all this time, I found myself saying, oh, I could never. Even though I objectively have done that, I found myself saying, oh, I could never. And so, realizing that it's really just this mental block, thinking about how, yes, there's a lot of factors, like age is a factor, but more important than age is consistency. So next slide. So the left photo is my grandfather in the 1950s. He's about his mid-20s, so a little bit younger than I am. And after World War II, he went to seminary, and he became a preacher for the United Methodist Church. And so he would go around the island and deliver Bibles and preach. And you can see he has his bicycle there, and he has a big stack of Bibles tied to the rear rack. And when he got older, the right photo is from 2016. He's 92 years old. And he was very stubborn about always going on a walk, always cycling in his neighborhood. And when cycling was, for his safety, not an option anymore, he found scrap wood and metal and an old bicycle by the side of the road, and he made his own stationary bike so he can bike as much as he wanted. So that was in 2016. He passed away at the ripe old age of 100 years old. He passed away peacefully, surrounded by family. I hope I can live as long and as stubborn as he has. And so he was a person who never said, oh, I could never. So I wanted to open with those stories because I hope the takeaway of this is not that you need specifically an electric bicycle. Everything I'm going to talk about you can do with an analog mountain bike, cruiser bike, whatever. The electric, that's the answer to the, what I'll call, oh, I could never syndrome. And that's what I want you to start thinking about is whenever you start to find yourself saying those four magic self-defeating words, this is what I want you to be thinking about. Okay, next slide. So 4 years ago, I decided to go car-free, but I was still kind of very car-brained in how I thought about things. And so I started doing some research, and what I ended up landing on was a Class 3 electric scooter. So I specifically say Class 3 because I want to be clear that I do believe that Class 1 is a valid mode of transportation. So if you don't know, Class 1, when you talk about e-scooter or e-bike, those go up to 15 miles per hour. Those are your bird scooters, your Lime scooters, and most of the consumer electric scooters that you can buy, right? Class 2 is 15 to 20 miles per hour. At that range and price point, I can imagine valid reasons to go for an e-scooter, but most people want to get a bicycle at that point. I don't recommend Class 2 e-scooter because at the 20 miles per hour on those two tiny wheels, you're asking for trouble. So I got a Class 3 e-scooter, and this guy, the moral of this particular story is don't. Unless, this is a toy, If you're willing to put on fully pad up and everywhere you go, and you recognize that you are going to fall many times, this is for recreational, this is not a commuter. I try to get the best of both worlds, because I was thinking, oh, it can fold, I can put it in the back of the trunk. No, this 60-pound beast will only fit in a completely empty trunk, and sometimes some cars are too small even for that. So be aware, this is a shopping lesson advice section. 2 months into having this, I was on Beltline Road, north of Grand Prairie. I was coming from the train station. Even though I have this super speed scooter, I still was on the sidewalk on Beltline because it was still not fast enough for the 40, 50 mile per hour 8-lane cars on Beltline. So I was on the sidewalk, and then the sidewalk disappeared, transitioned to grass. I fell off backwards on my butt on the sidewalk. If you've ever seen me wear his pants, it's a Hexel, you got a tear here. That's from that fall. So I kind of people pay extra at Urban Outfitters for this detail. So I fell off my e-scooter, fell straight down, so I was fine, I was all padded up. But the e-scooter just kept going. It kept going, it veered into the road, and then promptly was smashed by an SUV going at full speed, and they never stopped. And so that ended my e-scooter experiment. And so I was like, oh geez, well that sucks, a very expensive lesson. But I decided, okay, I'm not giving up on going car-free, but I'm going to change my strategy. So next slide. So what was my change of strategy? This beautiful electric bicycle here. I wish I could recommend go buy it, but the company has gone out of business because of the tariffs. But they were the only bicycle company, it was made in the USA, and it was the only one that allowed me to customize every aspect, any color. So I chose this colorway, I got those brown leather seats. Those are real wood fenders, and is that a time warning or? 2 minutes, okay. Okay, so I got this, I stepped through frame, a lot of things were reported, and it solved a lot of the, oh, I could never challenge the hurdles. It solved sweatiness. I was able to dress for the destination as opposed to the ride. It solved, well, don't go to the next slide, I'll show another thing it solves. It was solved because I was able to actually take it on public transit. And so you can see I'm able to take it on a bus, I'm able to take it on a train, and that dramatically increased the range I was able to go. If you go to the next slide, I'm also able to add a passenger seat. Now, if you plan on doing it often, like if you have kids, I recommend getting a bicycle that's actually made for passengers. Got a third-party rear rack off of Amazon. But if you're only doing it occasionally, I did it a lot occasionally. You can see actually Angela's there, that bottom middle photo on the Easter parade. And so on the right, I'm able to pick people up from the train station and give them a ride. I even gave Mark a ride from his bike shop on his way back to Austin. We both had a bicycle, we biked back to his shop, returned the bikes, and then now we had only one bike. I gave him a lift to the bus stop on his way back to Austin. So having a rear ride really expands your capacity. Next slide. Also adding to your capacity is adding a trailer. I got a trailer that you can like detach, and not only does it attach to your bike, but you can also hand push it in a grocery store. And you can see that's Becca, and she's on the back of it, and then she's got both hands holding trash and a cart full of trash, and we were fine, no one fell. I have never fallen and never got anyone hurt while carrying a passenger. Next slide.
Is that the Silver Bridge?
Look at, I'm not sure what it's called. All right, so another use of having this bicycle is being out there and just being very open about the fact that being very brazen about your use of cycling and your other use of other modes of transportation. Because this Dallas Morning News article, this was the first time my face has been on the front page. She did not write this, but I do credit Angela Mathew actually for getting me this story role. So all of these people coming together, and she's being laughed at, and they will point at everybody. And you can see I did that at the grocery store. I'm loading it up at Kroger at the bottom. I did a video on YouTube called I Tried an E-Bike in Dallas for 2 weeks. Here's what surprised me. So that features my neighbor, Courtney Hunter, who's currently living in Barcelona, but she bought that e-bike from Electric Avenue, and Electric Avenue actually loaned us a bike to use for this review. So if you want to see like the 10 or the 20-minute version of this talk, then look that up on YouTube. But go to the last slide. So I want to return to this main message, which is that so many times we don't try something and we don't try cycling because we have this, oh, I could never mentality. But once you get past that hurdle, the more you cycle, the better you get at it, and the more you love it. That doesn't apply to driving. The more you drive, the more you hate it. Doesn't apply to walking, doesn't apply to taking public transit. Cycling is one of those things, and once you start expanding your idea of what's possible, then you don't need me to give you a 30-minute like expose. You'll start to see all of these wonderful ways you can combine, get creative, problem solve, until eventually, also it's not even about getting rid of your car entirely. If you're able to cut out maybe a third of your car trips, or half of your car trips, and maybe still take your car to work or just a few errands, that's incredible. If in order for the city to hit our climate goals, we just need to reduce travel-related emissions by 30%. So if everybody just cuts 1 out of 3 trips, we made it. So with that, I want to say, watch out for your oh, I could nevers, and start replacing them with yes, I can never. Thank you.
I thought he was going to ride off into the sunset. I'll have this. Oh my gosh. So many oh, I could nevers. Have you all ever encouraged or twisted some arms to get on the bike? Yes. Am I speaking to the choir tonight? Is there anyone new to biking or thinking about getting into biking? Okay. Okay. Cheryl is here for it. Okay, before the end of the night, maybe pep talk Cheryl. Give her a little nudge, you know? Encourage. That's also what community blogs are, I hope, to just broaden our horizons. You know, maybe you have been sticking to the same ride or only, you know, stuck to your neighborhood. I highly encourage you to keep on riding in other places, everywhere and anywhere. And that was amazing. Thank you, Hexel. Your grandpa is everything. May we all live to be 100 and riding in our house if we have to. I wanted to, on Hexel's event or story, I wanted to give away another prize. Big thanks to Dallas Bike Ride, which is coming up. So get your tickets out. And we have 2 passes to Dallas Bike Ride. We'll need to get your email, so don't let me forget. Right. Sorry, I don't know why I'm get your pass to this. Good luck to you all. It's just one. Yeah, take it. One person gets 2 passes. Last 3 digits, 794. 794. Yes? Okay, I'll get your email. Thank you once again to everyone for donating. We do have 2 more prizes, $50 gift card and an amazing mug from Pull Through and a really cool handlebar bike bag. So stick around. Matt is going to take over the mic.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for listening to my story earlier. As I said, I'm the chapter leader for the DFW chapter of All Bodies on Bikes. And we're working to make an inclusive cycling community. Some of that work that we do is also in the industry, meeting with bike brands and helping encourage them to be welcoming to bigger bodies of people of all sizes. And one of those partners that we have worked with is Shimano. And years ago, Shimano helped All Bodies on Bikes get its start by doing a YouTube video. And part 2 of that video, which just recently released, and we're going to watch that today, it has a lot to do with, similar to the Dallas bike ride, the 5 Boroughs bike ride in New York City. There'll be a lot of footage from that, and they followed a group of us. Unfortunately, I couldn't make that trip. But a group of All Bodies on Bikes riders around that, and just talk to them about what it means to be a cyclist. So, here we go.
Give it up for All Bodies on Bikes. Bikes are so amazing. One of the things I really, really love is that bikes will meet you where you're at, you know? It's one of the best things I always think about. That film reminded me, just, it's you and your bike in this world. Just kidding, all of you together. All right, we have a couple more prizes. My lovely assistant here is going to pull out 2 raffle tickets. And then after this, we have our community plug segment. Oh wait, we do have a wild card story. We have a 3-minute wild card story. Mark, are you still here? Are you hiding? Okay, we have a wild card. And then we have community plugs, 30 seconds to plug anything you want. So come on up and line up here. You have 30 seconds. I know that you all have lots going on in this city. It doesn't have to be bike related, so feel free to come up. If you have a group ride, a volunteer opportunity, anything you want to hype up about the city. Okay, let's do Pull Through, $30 gift card, and a really cool mug. Pull Through, thank you Christina, thank you Pull Through. I'm so nervous for you guys. 793. Yes! Woo! Yes! Congratulations! All right. And our next prize, also thanks to Christina, is a really cute handlebar bag from Boots Packs. It's so cute. Oh my gosh, so many things I can think about. All right, ready? I need a drum roll. Drum roll. Cheryl. 778. You are all winners in my heart. Don't forget that. Don't forget Princess Antonia. Shout out to Amara also, who tried to coordinate a bike ride, and I think a bike ride did happen, even though the weather was a little crazy. But thank you, Amara. Okay, Mark, come up and tell us this wild card story. Get ready, y'all. 3 minutes, and then we'll do community plugs, and then I need to see some bike goals up there, Dallas. Okay, I want to see some bike dreams.
Thanks, Valerie. Thanks for this great venue that you're creating here in Dallas. And, yeah, I live here all the time, but you know, can't unfortunately. But I wanted to talk about some of the valuable things that you can find while riding your bike. You know, I've been car free for a couple of years now, and ever since I was a teenager, I would find things on the side of the road, and some of them you know, as valuable as you know, the little lead plugs that cars spall off. You know, every time I pick up one of those, I feel like, okay, the valuable thing I'm doing. I used to be a lead miner, by the way, in the mining industry. I'm saving some kid from brain damage by pulling this into the scrap heap. But anyway, I'm learning 2 languages right now. One of them is Spanish, and the other is cat language. And I'm learning cat language because maybe similar to Elsa and her husband, my wife and I cooperatively found a kitten who was living in the sewer, or barely living in the sewer, on Sylvan Avenue. Like that bridge that goes from Irving Boulevard over to the West Dallas there. So anyway, if I could conjecture, the kitten, you know, I'm translating here, was saying, help, you know, feed me. There's something valuable here in the sewer that everyone else has overlooked. So my wife heard that, and she went and got, all the stores are closed, so she could only get dog food. She got like the cheapest dog food at like a convenience store, because it's sort of food desert down there, especially after 10 o'clock or something. So she got food, and we managed to keep it alive for a few more days. So anyway, the challenge was, it took us 8 days of going back to the sewer. I even conscripted my friend who lived in the design district. Hey, Stephen, come on, help me try and lure this kitten out. So he was the casualty because he got his finger bitten by the cat. And it was pretty stubborn. And so, but eventually, we got it. And I didn't need to, you know, just as an inspiration, I didn't need to have a car. And as a further inspiration, by the way, yeah, my wife was telling me what to do from mission control that's, you know, not on the spot. We've been married, well, at the time, which is a year ago now, so that's why I'm learning cat language. It's been a year since we had this cat, and he's been, you know, the most talkative cat that I've ever known. But he, what was I gonna say? He basically, yeah, we tried all sorts of things. Like I got a net from Amazon, you know, we tried. The only way we could get close enough to him was if we were kind of standing by, but not, you know, that, if you know Sylvan, it's pretty noisy. A lot of hot rods go up and down it, a lot of pollution. He was sitting on a raft of trash and garbage, and we were trying to lure him out further and further. So that kind of worked, and we got a net, and we just kind of spun it, right? And then I dumped him into the pannier on my bike, which is very similar to Hexel's. But yeah, that way we didn't have to, you know, kind of traumatize him any further. Anyway, long story short, we got him home and, you know, started feeding him cat food, and so everything worked out well. Any questions, by the way? I may have missed something because I didn't rehearse. Oh, can you guess? Close, Sylvie. Yeah, we didn't want. Yeah, his name is Sylvie. So yeah, my friend in the design district wanted to name him Sylvan, but I thought that sounded too masculine, so I was like, yeah.
Is it a girl? Is it a girl kitty?
No, it's yeah, he's a boy. Yeah.
And what color is he?
He's kind of gray with a little. He's like a gray tabby with white. Yeah.
That's perfect.
I think his genes are not uncommon around this area. Yeah, because I see other cats where are like, is that an older version?
I just have a comment. We live right off of Sylvan,
Oh.
and we have a whole colony of cats. So should you ever want to do a cat date?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Maybe there's a moral to this story. Like if we stay on bikes we'll find more valuable stuff, and we'll also, wildlife is some of the most valuable stuff that you'll see in nature and along the side of roads. Maybe that's something that we can preserve or collect. But anyway, yeah. Thanks for a great night.
I have a cat story. I'm not going to share it tonight, but just FYI. Okay, y'all have a wonderful audience. If you have a community plug, come line up right here. And since you've been so wonderful, I'm going to give away another Bike Story Night t-shirt as folks are coming up to line up for our community plugs. You have 5 more seconds to line up. Pull out your tickets. 7, 8, 8. Are you here? 7, 8, 8? Yes? Okay, great. I don't have, your community plugs. Okay, 7, 8, 8.
Oh, no.
7, 8, 8. I have a backup ticket. Backup ticket? Silvana's checking. 7, 8, 8. Okay. Backup ticket is 773. Yes, okay. I'll get you a t-shirt in just a second. Thank you for coming. Thank you for all your support, everyone. One of my favorite parts is community plugs. One of the main things and reasons that I do this is because I just want people to continue to connect beyond and above, the wonderful machine of bikes. I think that it's just so important and crucial that we stay connected, that we continue to learn from each other, of course bike together, but definitely stay connected, and I hope Community Plugs does that. 30 seconds, y'all. Okay, I'm gonna bring up the warning.
Okay, I'm going to say first, there's a sheet of paper over on the table over there that has all these dates and QR codes where you can go find out more information. So I'm going to go really fast. So Bike DFW, one of our big things is how do we bike to things, and so think of it in those terms. So our calendar, we want to help you learn more about where you can bike to in the coming months. Bike to the market, we're working with good local markets, and we will have bike parking happening on the 3rd Sunday at Fair Park and on the 4th Saturday at their White Rock location. You can bike to the Cottonwood Arts Festival. We've just worked out a deal with them where we're going to have bike parking both days in May at the Cottonwood Arts Festival. That's in Richardson. You can bike to bike checks on the trails. We are working with the Katy Trail, Soback Trail, Santa Fe Trail, and more to provide an opportunity for people to stop by and get their bikes checked. Bike to work during Bike to Work Week, which is in May. May is Bike Month. And with DART on Bike to Work Day, as well as encouraging you to meet up with us at Critical Mass last Friday of the month, where we'll be sharing bike lights and other goodies. Our full moon rides with 2 of them in May on the 1st and on the 31st. Dallas Bike Ride on the 16th of May, and we're thrilled to be a nonprofit partner with them again this year. I want to remind everyone that the Ride of Silence is happening. I see you. Is that bike done, or I have just like 30 seconds? 10 seconds. Okay. 5:20 Ride of Silence, and finally we want to encourage folks to sign the pledge to ride kind. You can learn more about it at our website, and please consider making a donation or becoming a member of Bike DFW to help us continue these efforts in the community. Bye.
So that was 30 seconds, right? Just so we're all on the same page going forward?
Hey, 30
All right.
seconds? Okay. Hi, my name is Maribel. I am with Hangover Riders, DTX. So if you guys want to have different rides, you should follow our page, Hangover Riders. Again, DTX is very important. We have social rides, we have training rides, we have gravel rides, we have all kinds of rides. I don't even know. There's so many rides out there. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and maybe not Sunday, but every day there's some kind of ride with Hangover Riders. If you want to train, if you want to just have fun, follow us. You will find a ride that will fit you. Yeah. Promise you. Woo!
And I'm going to be even quicker than that. Hi again, you've met me, Savannah. I'm from BC Vets, and I just want to remind you guys to keep riding, keep supporting all these nonprofits and wonderful organizations that we have in the DFW area and around us, because they do great things. And please come out and ride the ride of silence. So many of us have been affected in one way or another, either personally or ones we love, and it means a lot to me. So, and my website is out there. Again, you can't shop it, but you can look at it, and you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. Peace out, pedal on.
Hey everyone, I'm AJ. I'll just do this. Shifty Freewheelers. It's 7:30. Monday nights from Trinity Cider. That's Miso's ride. It's Shifty, S-H-I-F-T-Y, Freewheelers. Number 2, McNair does a Eastside Taco Ride. Third Saturday every month. It's the first social ride. I went on 10 years ago. I wouldn't have met anyone here if it wasn't for that ride. Talk to McNair. Last and not least, me, Jenna, Tony, and a couple people played basketball on Monday nights, and we still have not been able to do like 3-on-3. So if you enjoy basketball, ever want to play basketball, ask me, Tony, Jenna. Thank you guys.
Hello, I'm Becca with Dallas Bicycle Coalition, the obligatory announcement. The biggest thing is that coming up in City Council now in May, there's an opportunity to make the Houston Street Viaduct, which is the opposite of Jefferson, but it's the flat one, to make it car-free. Right now, that's on the table at City Council, and they will be talking about it the May Transportation meeting. I think it's May 20th. So we need public support for a car-free Houston Greenway, because Dallas has a history of, sticking with the status quo because they're afraid of change. So we need people who want a better future and a car-free future for Dallas. And just for DBC, we have second Saturday monthly coffee socials and rides. So May 9th at the new coffee shop with Santa Fe Trail Access, Beans and Brews. May 9th, Saturday morning, and yes, also become a member of DBC. I will ask you personally at some point this year.
Right. Hi, I'm Cherie Thompson. I am with Redbird Bike Club. We meet on the 1st, 3rd, and 5th Monday at the Dallas Executive Airport. And what we do is we train any individual that wants to learn how to ride. And so we just meet in the parking lot, we do skills, we just hang out, we have fun. And some people don't want to ride, so we allow scooters and roller skates. And so we just hang out and have fun. And so if you know anyone that's interested or want to learn how to ride, send them my way. We have a Facebook account, Redbird Bike Club.
Hey guys, I'm Christina. I run and own Pulled Through Coffee Bar. This is my public speaking support friend. I just have 3 things. It's things that we do often, and then another just pitch. But we have a women's monthly group ride. First or second Sunday of the month. Time changes, so just follow us on our social media. And then we have a monthly lake cleanup. We've adopted a part of the lake at Sunset Bay. That whole section is ours. So we just go out there, clean up for an hour and a half. You don't have to stay for the full time, even if it's 15 minutes. Ride your bike over there, pick up some trash, and then leave. Any help helps. And you also get a 20% discount card as well, like a little ticket. And then the last thing is bike swaps. Ooh, yeah, they're so much fun. 2 per year, one the first Sunday of June, and then one the first Sunday of December. So you can come, you can sell your stuff, you can give it away, you can come and buy. It's like a really big garage sale for the cycling community. And then the last thing, I just want to say, if anyone has an event or wants to do something, please hit me up. You're always welcome to set up shop at the place, or if you're an artist or anything, if you want to push your stuff, like, please reach out. I'm more than happy to do something with you.
Hello again. I just wanted to tell you about the next ride we have. A big gravel race here in the DFW area is Gravel Locos. It takes place down in Hyco. It's down near Glen Rose. They're taking a year off this year, and so in the spirit of Gravel Locos, we're going to host a 30-mile ride down in Hyco on May 9th. So if you want to ride a pavement, go to Becca's event. If you want to ride gravel, then you can come to ours. Oh, okay, all right. Heck yeah. So come ride gravel with us in Hyco. We ride 10 miles an hour, wait at the top of hills. Gravel Locos will be there with an aid station set up somewhere. So it's not an official Gravel Locos ride for insurance purposes, but they'll be there supporting us. So come on out if you want. And also there are stickers from All Bodies on Bikes on both of the tables. Feel free to take as many as you like. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Hexel. You know me. I'm the founder of a nonprofit called Dallas Urbanists. This is my general manager, Chelsea Limboy. First of all, I forgot to mention this, but I'm wearing my bicycle frog and toad shirt. It fit with the theme. But I don't know. But anyway, frog and toad. This is frog and this is toad. Also, Dallas Urbanists. The thing that encapsulates everything that we do is we launched a program that we call Hyperlocal Conversations, and we've started multiple hyperlocal conversations so far. A hyperlocal conversation is a neighborhood-specific monthly gathering where neighbors come together and explore ways to improve walkability where they live. And when I say walkability, that's everything that's other than driving a car. So that means walking, that means using a walker or a wheelchair, that means cycling, that means using public transit. And so we have a lot of hyperlocals started, and every time we start one, like people from adjacent neighborhoods say, oh, I want one. So next Wednesday, so a week from today, is our downtown hyperlocal. That's at 6:30 p.m. at the Texas City Brewery. And just like with all of them, all of the projects and news that we talk about at these hyperlocals are, as the name suggests, very specific to that neighborhood. So we'll be talking about the Main Street study, where we're going to close Main Street for all these things, and we need volunteers for that study. We're also going to be talking about the Bike Quick project. We have one in Midtown, Uptown is starting soon, we have Cedars coming soon, we have Far North Dallas coming again next month. We have a lot of neighborhoods that are getting started, so if you want to check us out, or have a card for DallasUrbanists.org, get it with here. And if we don't have a hyperlocal in any neighborhood, then send us an email and we'll do that and get that started. All right, thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Cheryl. Cheryl spelled with an S, and I moved here in 2014, and I made all my friends from riding bikes. And so my ask to you today is every time you meet a new person, hundreds of people are moving to Dallas, DFW area every day. Every time you meet a new person and they're lonely and they don't have any friends, tell them, go ride a bike, join a group, ride a bike. It'll change everything. So I love you all, and I'm so glad you're all here tonight. Yay!
I wasn't going to say anything. I'm not big on public speaking, but I'm Gretchen, and I run FemPedal. It's the oldest all-female social cycling group in Dallas. We've been active for 11 years. We meet on Thursday nights at Baylor, and it's like a 10 to 12 mile ride, very social, and we're all about building relationships and having a safe place for women to share.
Wow, y'all, we did it. Shout out to all the volunteers, all of the storytellers, Jordan, who I couldn't do this without, who's basically the underwriter of Bike Story Night, supporter, amazing man, audio visuals. Thank you again to all of the amazing people who helped support this event and donated prizes or support. Dallas Bike Coalition, Dallas Bike Works, Joyride, pull-through coffee, Big Heart, Boost Packs, Electric Avenue, and Sunday Cruise, our organization, second sister organization, and of course Four Corners Brewing. Thanks again to All Bodies on Bikes for lending us show this amazing film. You can watch it on YouTube, relive all the magic of tonight's stories on our YouTube in a few days, hopefully. Please like and subscribe. It really helps us grow and continue to do what we do. I have more and more goals for Bike Story Night. I hope next year, by the time we host our next event, maybe I'll have a little zine or book. Big goals. And I hope that you write your goals or dreams down, share them with your friends, encourage your friends to, go for their dreams. Get on bikes, of course. Tell them where all the free bikes are. There's so many amazing organizations giving away bikes. Keep nudging, keep encouraging people that they are worth it, that they deserve an amazing bike, they deserve an amazing life, they deserve joy. So thank you all for coming again. I appreciate you. I can't wait to see you again, hopefully soon. My name's Valerie, host of Bike Story Night. Thank you so much.